Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome back to Table Time. My name's Ben. Um, this is my brand new YouTube channel, and episode one is going to be a doozy. Um, if you saw my intro video, you know that one of the main points that I reiterated probably too many times um, is that. Oh, I'm sorry, I got a text, guys. Is that I want to talk about controversial things, or even if they're not controversial, if they seem controversial, um, I just want to talk about difficult subjects. And without too much ado, I think it's important in the spirit of having difficult conversations to talk about what's going on in the U.S. right now. Um, Pardon me. So George Floyd um, was murdered by the police in Minneapolis, and um, it has completely inflamed tensions. It has inflamed, a very strong emotional response, obviously, which is to, I mean, completely to, it's completely understandable. And this is one of those topics where I already know that talking about George Floyd, talking about Breonna Taylor, talking about Colin Kaepernick, Black Lives Matter, it's just automatically going to have heat. It just is. It's just for whatever reason, this is still a controversial topic in 2020. And, I'm not going to belabor the point too much. I mentioned this also in my intro video, but a little bit of context. So, my last year in the American public school system was into fourth grade. At the end of fourth grade, my parents felt like God was calling them to help start a church and a school in Central America. So we moved to Tegucigalpa, Honduras, in 2000, end of 2011, early 2012, or sorry, 2001 to 2002. And then I wouldn't re-enter the American school system until end of eighth grade year, beginning of junior year in high school. So for me, a lot of this stuff is quite literally foreign. Um, you know, it's interesting, and I say interesting, I don't want you to misunderstand. Um, it's horrifying. But my grandmother was part of the high school class at Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, when desegregation happened, and they called in the National Guard, and it was violent and all this crazy stuff. She was there firsthand, and she saw it. And I grew up with her, drilling into me about the evils of racism, and hearing that in my whole life is really what brings me to my point today. So this is not going to be some 15-minute video of me rambling on about, whatever, my opinions of the situation or anything like that. My point is that I think, as soon as I say, I'm not going to give you an opinion, I say I think. I know that one of the issues that I'm seeing right now is that, number one, how you get your information is incredibly important. If you live in a bubble, especially on social media, where you constantly just reinforce your own ideas, your own confirmation biases, and you never expand, like you never ask yourself, that person down the street from me who disagrees with me politically or socially or however, I wonder why they think that way. And the problem is that we're tearing each other down, and we're not building each other up in empathy, and in understanding. So this is going to be less of a political diatribe or any kind of thing like that, and more of just an invitation to my black friends and people that I love in my life. This is an invitation for you to explain in a very visceral and real way what you experience being African American in the United States. Because we hear a lot of generalities, and just because they're generalities doesn't make them any less horrifying. I mean, when you hear about Breonna Taylor, when you hear about George Floyd, when you hear about, man, that poor young guy. I mean, he went to school right here in Arkansas, and then he ends up getting killed in his own apartment by a police officer in Dallas. But when you hear about those things and it's just like it's just a story, like it's just the story of the week, then I think it diminishes the impact. I've got a really good friend, a guy that I really love like a brother. His name's Alex. He's a black guy. I was actually in his wedding last year, and I love that dude. I trust him with my life. And if you told me that George Floyd, a man that I had never met, was murdered by police, even if I didn't see that horrific video, if you told me that happened, I would be heartbroken because someone was murdered unjustly. And that would be awful to me. But if you told me that Alex got murdered by the police, I don't know. I just think there's power in knowing the details. So to my black friends, and even to my Hispanic friends, anyone who feels as though the system of policing, the systems that we have in place, the educational systems, the financial systems, the housing systems, whatever it is, if that has in any way systematically, I'm not going to say ruined your life, but definitely had a negative impact on your life, I want to hear your story. Because I think that if you hear from your friends, that's what it took for me, was I had to hear from a friend of mine that he was afraid to wear a hoodie in public because he didn't want to get stopped. I heard from another black friend of mine that he was pulled out of his car at gunpoint for not using a turn signal and stuff like that. When you hear it from people that you care about and people that you know and interact with on a daily basis, it really brings it into perspective how serious this really is for African Americans. I don't know. The whole situation is just heartbreaking and terrible. But if you can, I'm not saying that it's your job to explain anything to anyone, but if you have some personal anecdotes, something that you can share that will help people that don't understand to empathize with your situation, please let me know. please put it in the comments down below, because I want to know your side of things. I want to know what your life is like, because I've got to be honest with you. I can't relate. And that sucks, because I kind of pride myself on being an empathetic person, but I mean, I can't relate. So please, 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 if you can, let me know how you're feeling in those comments. Are you grieving? Are you sad? Are you angry? Are you, I don't know. I know it's a complex and confusing situation, but I would love to hear from you. And I think what I'm going to do is, if I get enough responses, if I get some comments from some people, as soon as I, have enough, I'll start going through everything, and I'm going to make a reaction video, just to kind of put up there, and just show the context of how serious this is. So to all my people, I love you. To all my people of color, to my black friends, to my Hispanic friends, please stay safe. Understand that I care about you, and if you need anything at all, please hit me up. But yeah, let me know how you're feeling. I think we've seen enough from the news, and I think we need to know how people are truly feeling these days. So I appreciate you guys coming to the table, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.